Today on Monkey Life, newly arrived squirrel monkey Kimbo has a health check and the snip.
It looks in a very good nick, this animal actually. Yeah. Really, really healthy, yeah.
Alison shows vet Cesar another new arrival, and this one is not in good health.
He couldn't walk at all when we got him 1 week ago.
And orang-utan youngster Kayan goes outside for the first time and braves a bird's eye view of the park. Monkey World in Dorset, buried deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. The team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
There they are. It's so amazing. They look really fit and healthy. All good.
The park provides a home for more than 260 primates from 25 different species. It's going to be a busy day at the park's hospital. Local vet Cesar Sastre has a long list of small monkeys to see. And first up is squirrel monkey Kimbo, who arrived at Monkey World just 4 days ago.
Lee, you are gonna catch the monkey very good. And then we put a mask, you've got that ready.
Kimbo's going to have a health check and, most importantly, a vasectomy.
He can't move ahead and meet the ladies unless we get him fixed. So in order that he maintains all of his natural behavior and everything, we just do a vasectomy. And we'll give him a basic health check and take some bloods as well. And he'll also get a microchip. But we'll focus on getting this morning done, getting him recovered, and then he can start meeting the other guys.
Once Kimbo has been anaesthetised and is stable, vet Cesar can get to work.
It's great. I'm gonna do a physical examination.
Unlike many of the primates that arrive at the park, Kimbo appears fit and healthy. But a comprehensive investigation is needed to confirm there are no hidden issues.
Yeah, no, it looks in a very good nick, this animal actually. Yeah. But yeah, he looks really, really healthy, yeah.
Cesar scrubs up and prepares to perform the vasectomy. It's a quick surgical procedure where the 2 tubes carrying the sperm from the testicles are cut and stitched. But performing the operation on a small primate can be tricky.
We don't do many of these, but certainly I think this is promising. That's it.
Wow.
The tube is cut and Cesar can now stitch up the ends. Then the procedure is repeated before he closes the small surgical incision.
That looks fairly neat. Yeah, it's looking all right. This was a piece of cake compared with the little ones. This is 1 kilo. The others are 300 grams. So yeah, no, it's fine.
But there are still a couple of procedures to do. Taking blood samples to give the team a baseline for their records.
Okay.
And inserting a microchip.
You got it?
Yeah, just making sure it matches.
It's been a quick and easy process for Kimbo, and he's returned to his transport crate to recover.
I don't think we can fix it, but...
While the team wait for him to come round from the anaesthetic, Alison takes Cesar to meet another new arrival, and this one is not in good health.
He couldn't walk at all when we got him 1 week ago.
Common marmoset Koba was confiscated from his owners by the RSPCA, along with his partner Lola. He was in an appalling emaciated state, with a broken wrist, bent spine, and missing half his tail. The team were unsure if Koba would survive his first 24 hours at the park, but the tiny marmoset's spirit surprised everyone.
We have to get him to a point where he can meaningfully cling to a branch and not be in danger himself. I mean, it doesn't have to be mission impossible, but he has to be safe.
Cesar checks the X-rays supplied by the RSPCA. He's shocked by what he sees.
Yeah. The animal is so crippled that you cannot tell, really.
It's a tough call.
I think all depends on quality of life here, to be fair. And the treatment is D3 milk to support the calcium and UV lights.
The outlook for Koba may be poor, but the team want to give him every chance.
But every day, I think he's stronger and better.
Good.
Okay, I think your next patient is here.
Let's have a look.
For Koba, it's going to be one day at a time. And next up is the park's largest marmoset, mum of 4 Ruby. She has an abscess in her mouth, which usually means a dental issue. But when Cesar examines her, he discovers Ruby's been in the wars.
Something happened there, but it's sorted. I can dig a little more. Let me just have a look. So you see the upper ones, the upper incisors, they are all gone.
The teeth may have been knocked out during a fracas with a family member. There's not much Cesar can do.
Well, this is going to be the quickest dental ever. The molars, they are all fine. The canines are fine. It's just the upper incisors. Just antibiotics and Loxicon for a week or so.
The antibiotics should do the trick, and Ruby's returned to her transport box to recover.
The roots of these incisors is tiny, tiny, tiny in a marmoset. So I think there's no reason to panic or worry or anything at all. But yeah, the swelling was because of the incisors, nothing to do with the molars, so happy days.
The team will give Ruby time to recuperate before she returns to family life. It's been just over 3 weeks since 5-year-old orangutan Kayan arrived at the park from Twycross Zoo. She's making great progress and has now met the entire nursery group.
Kayan's doing really well. She's spending more and more time with the group all together. They're not always together overnight at the moment, just to be on the safe side while we're not around. But she's getting on really well, particularly with Rika and Bulu. Mimi is slightly more difficult. Sometimes she thinks Kayan's wonderful. Sometimes she'd like Kayan to step away from Oisin because she's her mum. But yeah, we're getting there, and Kayan's a right little character, so hopefully it'll all go well in the future.
The introductions have been taking place inside, allowing the team the opportunity to undertake some renovations outside, involving both the tunnel system and the outdoor enclosure. After 2 weeks inside, the group are keen to go outdoors. But for Kayan, it's a step into the unknown.
We have to be a little bit cautious letting them out because she is a very clever individual. We can never second-guess an orangutan, so we need to assume that she's going to break everything. And as such, we need to make sure everything is Kayan-proof, Oisin-proof, Mimi-proof, Bulu-proof and Rika-proof. And we have a new unknown quantity, so we've got to be a bit careful.
To begin with, the team are going to let Kayan out alongside Rika and Bulu. This trio have become really good friends in a short space of time.
Out you come. Good boy, Bulu.
Rika leads the way along the tunnel leading to the outdoor enclosure. Kayan isn't far behind.
Are you ready for some monsters?
When the slide opens, there's no sign of nerves from the newcomer. She's first out, full of confidence and eager to explore.
Kayan is the first one out, and she seems to be very chill about the whole thing.
Kayan looks quite at home, settling into one of the hammocks, tucking into a healthy breakfast, and casting an eye over her new surroundings. Orangutans are often food-orientated, and peace rules while the trio tuck in. But once Kayan has had her fill, she's off exploring again, using all the apparatus and even climbing to the very top platform.
So from the top of the orangutan enclosure for the nursery, you can see quite a way around the park. So I think it's quite nice for her to be able to put some faces to the names. She can probably actually see the gibbons for the first time. She can see Tuan's group across the road, and she can probably see into the squirrel monkey enclosure as well. So she's probably been quite curious about all her new neighbours.
With Kayan looking really settled, Rachel decides to let Oisin and Mimi join in the fun. Although she's almost 8 years old, Mimi is still possessive when it comes to sharing the attentions of her surrogate mum, Oisin. And she can be the same when it comes to the primate care staff too. But Kayan remains unaffected, even heading back to the tunnels every so often and receiving a reward from Rachel.
I'm really happy with how it's gone this morning. Kayan's shown us that she can come back into the tunnels from the enclosure, which gives us hope that she might come in this evening for dinner. It's always a bit of a concern when they go out for the first time. They might like it so much they don't want to come back in. We've got the rest of the afternoon to work on that, but I'm pretty confident she'll come back in.
It's been a good morning with the group all outside together, and even a change in the weather doesn't dampen their fun. Feeding more than 260 primates every day takes a lot of thought and planning by the primate care staff. It means the team prepares 60 to 70 kilograms of fruit and veg a day for the larger groups, such as Hananya's troop of 18. And there's plenty of variety.
You're talking about, you know, your apples, oranges, pears. On the fruit side, they get the odd banana. They're quite fattening, so they get the odd banana, which they love. We give them then such a variety of stuff. Cucumber, pepper, fennel. They get their root vegetables. They love their carrots, really like their carrots, their parsnips. And we do try and keep it varied where possible because it keeps them occupied, it keeps them interested. And they do have certain likes and dislikes. Some of them prefer the carrots, whereas some of them will prefer the parsnips. You know, they do all have, like us, their own favourite different foods.
Hananya's troop are about to get a scatter feed of chopped up fennel.
Come on then, guys!
The veg is thrown into the enclosure from 2 different towers. The scatter approach means everyone should get a chance to grab a share. Mealtimes are a definite high point of the day for the chimps. They love their food, and never knowing quite what they're going to get or how it's going to arrive keeps them engaged.
We try and scatter it as much as we can throughout their enclosures. It keeps them foraging, because in the wild, they will spend a huge amount of time throughout the day foraging and searching for different pieces of food, picking the fruit off the trees, picking the leaves off the trees. So they're always active and doing something. So we try and mimic that. So we throw out feeds that are chopped up, quite small. They've got to root around throughout the enclosure to try and find it. We do like to vary things though, and on occasion we'll throw out whole fruits and vegetables, you know, just to make it a bit more fun for them.
The 4 chimpanzee enclosures at the park are large and contain natural planting for the chimps to browse on. Gorse, with its bright yellow edible flowers, is a particular favourite.
A bit prickly, so they've got to be extremely careful. You can see them tiptoeing through it, but they love the little yellow flowers that comes on it, so you'll quite often see them eating that. Yeah, they love the gorse, the grass, any leaves that are in there, just keeps them occupied and keeps them munching.
There's a strict hierarchy in chimp society, which affects who's first in the queue for food at feeding time. The more dominant individuals get first dibs, with the lower-ranking chimps on the sidelines, grabbing what they can.
That is how it is in the wild. They will fight and argue over food. So we try and ensure that we keep them as much like they would feed in the wild. So we do feed them all as one big group. It's potluck. You've got to get in there and get your food. Yes, there's a few little quarrels every so often, but we do like to keep it as natural as possible. We do obviously monitor them very closely for their weight and their condition and how they're doing. If we find that any of the individuals are maybe not getting quite enough of the diet, we can make sure that we are either increasing the diet for all, depending on how many are needing it, or if it's a single individual, one or two, we might supplement them with an extra few bits and pieces on the side.
One chimp who absolutely loves her food is Trudy. She has a very special position within the group. Many of her current housemates were around when she was rescued from a circus 25 years ago, having suffered appalling abuse and beatings. The likes of Hananya, Shamak, and later Cherry and Peggy protected and cared for her, and gradually her life turned around.
She is one of the smallest in the group. She's quite stooped. She's got a lot of back issues due to her past, which we keep a very close eye on. So we've had to give her some pain relief. But at the moment, fingers crossed, she is doing amazingly well. It's rare that she misses out on food, but when she does, you know about it. She has a little tantrum, cries her eyes out, and then goes to somebody and they will give her some food. They're very generous to poor Trudy in this group.
Once they've had their fill, there's plenty of time for a bit of relaxation or even a little nap. Not so over at the Capuchins, where it's been a story of mutiny and upheaval. Franco was recently ousted as leader of his group, and for his own safety needed to be moved. The knock-on effect posed some problems for the primate care staff.
Obviously, he was a dominant male, so whichever group that we picked, it was going to be very difficult to introduce him to.
The team opted for Sonny's group. It's the largest of the 5 at the park, and Sonny is laid back for an alpha male. But the layout of the house wasn't ideal for introductions, and there were lots of individuals in the troop for Franco to meet. The team decided the best solution was a house swap, moving Sonny's troop over to the lodge, with Eriko's group going in the opposite direction. The scheme involved 34 Capuchins in all.
Unlike previous moves that we've done before, where we've just been able to switch them in-house, these 2 houses are completely separate. So we had to crate all the animals up. But we were really lucky. We do a lot of open conditioning with the Capuchin monkeys, and they all willingly walk into the crate.
Hi. Hello.
It went far better than I think any of us could have anticipated.
Fast forward a few weeks, and deposed leader Franco is settling in well. He's met everyone, including alpha male Sonny, and now they all have access to the large outdoor tree-filled enclosure. The surroundings are new to a lot of the group, but not Franco, who lived here a few years ago. Currently, he and Sonny are tiptoeing around each other.
They've just kind of avoided each other, really. Franco's spending most of his time inside. He keeps popping out. He has a look at where Sonny is and then pops back in. There have been a few instances where he's kind of got a bit startled. At one point, Letitia told him off and chased him back into the house. So he's still very wary, but Sonny's very wary as well. So they're just kind of staying out of each other's way.
While Franco gets used to life lower down the pecking order at the lodge, over at his old home, Eriko and his troop have taken up residence.
Eriko's group has settled in really well back down at the complex, and most of the individuals in the group have been in this facility before, but many years ago. So a lot of things have changed, and they would have been in a very different group scenario. But it's really good enrichment for them to think about the different layout of the house, and also to explore the outside enclosure. It's very different. Where do all the hosing and the poles lead to? All the different bushes, where they can see the public, where they can see the other groups as well, which they didn't have when they were at the lodge. So although it can be very daunting for them, it is actually a great form of enrichment that we can give them.
Erico is very different from Sonny. He's super bright and into everything new, which can present challenges for the team. With a new house comes a new routine, and at the moment, Donna is struggling to persuade everyone outside. Erico is so excited by the tunnel slides, he's blocking the entrance, meaning some of the low-ranking, more timid individuals, like Ringo and Cesar, are intimidated. It's a problem Donna is trying to overcome.
Erico tests us all of the time, and we'll try and solve it using various different techniques. So today we've used the hay balls on the mesh just to move him away from the area. He's still getting the worms out of it, so it's positive for him. And then we can draw back on those. Once he gets used to, oh, I'm not allowed in that area, then we can draw back on that and just go back to using the station training. And there's lots of other different techniques that we can use. We just sort of trial and error really and see which one works with that individual in that particular scenario.
Eventually, everyone's outside enjoying their new enclosure, including Louisa, the most recent Capuchin arrival at the park.
Louisa's doing amazing. She probably spends more time outside than she does in now. She doesn't go super high up in the enclosure unless she has to get to food. She absolutely loves Erico, so she follows him around like a lost puppy a lot of the time, especially when she's in season. But she loves foraging, she catches the bugs, so yeah, she's really come a long way since she first arrived.
Despite all the upheaval that comes with moving home, the park's Capuchin groups are adapting, settling into their new surroundings and embracing the change. Next time on Monkey Life, counting them out.
Right, they're coming through, Jasmine. You got your slide open? 2, 3.
Counting them in, as Barts and the Bachelors execute a chimp house swap.
14.
And down at Malagasy, the lemurs have this treetop challenge licked.